Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Horrors of H.H. Holmes. I'm Nat.
And I'm Kate.
And you are listening to Wading into the Void. To get started, let's just get right into tarot. I have a ton of stuff to cover, so I don't want to stray too far away from the information that I have written.
She's like, down to business.
I gotta go. No. I did want to just say two quick things before we start. One, Dana says hi.
Hi.
To everyone. So everyone say hi to Dana, my sister. She says hi.
Hi, Dana.
Two, I wanted to thank my coworker, Stephanie, for listening to the podcast. Thank you for giving it a chance and saying that you enjoyed it. You could have lied straight to my face and I would have been perfectly fine with it.
Thank you, Stephanie, on the off chance that you're listening to this episode.
I told her this episode was coming out Friday. She listened to the first part, so...
And she's like, great. She's gonna think I listen all the time.
No, she was like, I love it! I was cracking up! So, I'm gonna write that on our Yelp review.
Speaking of getting people to listen really quick, for my job, I had to go record a radio spot at a local radio station, and I talked to several people about the podcast, and I don't know if you're listening, but hello if you are. Do you understand what I mean about kind of understanding audio?
Bro,
that's Nat's job.
We've tried so fucking hard to get good audio quality. It's like really hit or miss. Sometimes it sounds amazing. Sometimes we get a weird echo and we don't know how to fix it. So like anybody, if you use Adobe Audition and have HyperX Quadcast microphones, and if you have G733 Logitech headphones,
please let us know.
Please let us know how to fix our shit. It's always coming from Katie's mic. I don't know why.
Okay.
It's always Katie's mic.
Okay. So I have determined that it is just the spirits around me. And it's depending on their mood, whether they're like, yeah, we're going to give you a good one today. Or if they're like, fuck you.
Mm-hmm. You might not have noticed it last episode because we were sitting next to each other.
Yeah.
So, yeah, let's just get into this bullshit. I got too much to talk about Mr. Herman.
I changed my setup, so there's a chance that this could work, you know?
I see that, yeah. It looks good. Okay, so... Herman! No. Mausolea Oracle of Souls.
Just kidding.
Not yet, Herman. Your time will come.
Who are we without tarot? Screw
exactly.
Herman and his stupid budget.
So, the Mausolea Oracle of Souls is illustrated by Jason Engel, text by Rabbit Stoddard, with additional writing by Jason Engel. Yeehaw!
And Engel!
The card that we pulled for today is actually really fucking cool looking. It is the matriarch, the mother of Homestead, and she represents rejection, opportunities, and consequences. Katie, you will never guess what I was thinking of when I pulled this.
Yourself?
Probably.
She's
a noble queen.
75% of the time, Nat's like, this is for me. I don't care if anyone else needs it. It's for me.
It's literally, this is the only time I do tarot for myself. Anytime I'm doing tarot, it's for other people. And I actually just got asked to do tarot readings for a Halloween event at our local bar that I used to work at.
That she's not going to drop the name of so people can't come stalk us in their city.
No, but also I don't want a ton of people coming and me, like, puking because I read too many people or something.
Everyone from the podcast just shows up. To little small town VT. They're like, yeah, we're here for the tarot reading, please.
That's like a diehard fan, and I think we maybe have, like, 2.
One of them's probably my cousin, but he won't be able to get in.
Actually, children do show up at the bar. It's like a family bar. It's weird.
And they let them in?
Mm-hmm. Anyways, so we pulled the matriarch card. And here's what the book says. A noble queen, the matriarch, lived a righteous life, free from sins that would weigh her heart when she came before the scales of Anubis, save one, the memory of which was lost to her. In her hubris, she and her king denied the gods of Duat the worship and fealty that was their right, incurring their wrath even unto death. Given this, she was cast into the desert, where she established the homestead, a refuge for other wanderers, exiles, and lost ones. The matriarch reminds us that while there are some mistakes from which there is no redemption, maintaining a core of self, nobility, and dedication to right behavior will nonetheless provide opportunities, even if it's not the original plan. There's no sense of falling prey to personal disappointment. Your
That's
true
kinda
value
cute.
will be seen and understood by others.
I kind of love it. I'm interpreting it as, like, as long as you show your self-love, others will see that value that you have because you're actually giving value onto yourself.
Damn, that's crazy! Anyways, let's go to our tarot.
Time. Girl dinner.
Girl dinner, girl dinner, oh, girl dinner.
If you need to know what my dinner is, I made a quesadilla.
My girl dinner, which was suggested by Dylan, is egg rolls, potatoes, and that's it. Like, potatoes.
Not a very well-rounded meal, but it sounds delicious.
It's definitely a nap meal. Yesterday we had sweet potato burritos.
Ooh.
And guacamole.
I'm over here like, it doesn't sound like a well-rounded meal. Meanwhile, I had 2 fucking tortillas, some chicken and fajita sauce, and Fiesta Blend reduced calorie cheese.
Anyways, let's go to the tarot. We're already getting way too off topic. We gotta talk about Hermy the Worm.
Ew.
Anyways.
I hate it.
We're doing the horror tarot deck and guidebook by Aria Mitter and Minerva Siegel, illustrated by Abigail Larson. And I promise you, we're not gonna do these ones for every single creepy episode that we have. I just thought they were very fitting for H.H. Holmes.
They're fitting for Herman.
Herman. So we got the 6 of Cups reversed. And it's this creepy little girl holding cups full of, what are they called? Peace lilies?
Yes.
That you give to people when they die?
They die, yes.
She looks nasty.
She is, like, literally a black-eyed child.
But the reverse meaning... The reverse meaning says, a desire to keep things in the past has you acting resistant to change and refusing to mature. A preference for depending on others leads you to a subconscious feeling of insecurity. And if that didn't just say, bitch, I read you, then I don't know.
It's like, you're acting like a child, and I'm like, no, I'm not, as I'm 2 weeks away from my Disney trip.
It just fucking read me like an episode of RuPaul's Drag Race. I'm not even kidding. With tarot finally fucking concluded, discussions about RuPaul's Drag Race finally fucking concluded, let's find our way back into the horrific tale of H.H. Holmes.
Herman!
Let me move my microphone just a tweensy bit. Coming back to where we left off last episode, we have little Herman Webster Mudgett was now living as a pharmacist under the name of Dr. Henry H. Holmes.
Liar. What did you say the dog's name was?
It's fucking Biscuit or Elvis. I don't know. They
If
have
you
two
hear
dogs.
random barking, that's Natalie's neighbor's dogs.
Yes. Unfortunately.
So named either Elvis or Biscuit.
There's two of them. I don't know which one it is. When the owner of the drugstore passed away, he left his wife to take over the responsibilities of the store. However, Holmes convinced the widow to let him buy the store. The widow soon went missing and was never seen again. Holmes claimed that she moved to California, but this could never be verified. After Holmes had become the owner of the drugstore, he purchased an empty lot across the street. He designed and built a 3-story hotel, which the neighborhood called the Castle. During its 1889 construction, Holmes hired and fired several construction crews so that no one would have a clear idea of what he was doing. He was designing his murder castle. After construction was complete in 1891, Holmes placed ads in newspapers offering jobs for young women and advertised the castle as a place of lodging. He also placed ads presenting himself as a wealthy man looking for a wife.
Ugh.
All of Holmes's employees, hotel guests, fiancés, and wives were required to have life insurance policies. Holmes paid the premiums as long as they listed him as the beneficiary.
Of course.
Most of his fiancés and wives would suddenly disappear, as did many of his employees and guests. People in the neighborhood eventually reported that they saw many women enter the castle, but would never see them exit. Although Holmes killed people of any gender and any age, he did kill many, many women. And I think it was probably easier for him luring women in with the hopes of living a really nice life with a wealthy, well-established man. Only to have that life sickeningly taken away and various horrible methods of death.
Yay! Yeah, no, I mean, it was totally easy. I mean, at the time, it was very difficult for women to get work at all.
Very much so. Heavily patriarchal. Women are still viewed as objects. Like,
they aren't now.
They still are, but even more so. Like, women in 1890 did not go to college and start a career.
Some days I'm like, man, I wish I lived in 1890.
I don't know. I think I'm too smart.
I just sometimes really abhor my responsibilities.
Well, yeah, that too. But I think I would go, like, literally insane with nothing to do all day. Besides
I would 1000%
chores,
kill myself.
If they expect me to do fucking cook for them, do their laundry and shit, no. I'm sorry. I'm not a housewife.
Yeah, no.
I'd rather be the breadwinner.
Sometimes I just wish I was like Christopher McCandless, right? And just like fucking hiked it into the wilderness where no one's gonna bother me.
He fucking ate poison seeds and died. He's stupid as fuck. He thought they were sweet potato seeds. No. No. He literally was delusional and stupid.
Do you know that book is now on the banned book list?
I believe it. Because he's dumb.
Don't ban books.
First of all, yeah, don't ban books. But second of all, he's so fucking dumb.
But also don't be Christopher McCandless.
That would inspire, like, dumb kids to go out and do that shit. Go to the Alaska bush and just fucking die in an old school bus because they ate poisonous seeds when they thought they were potato seeds.
Given the fact that he also didn't eat for, like, 2 weeks at a time regardless. So, yeah.
Like, he just was not a wilderness survivor. He was a kid born with a silver spoon in his mouth who thought he could live a hippie life, tried to, be like, oh, boo government, boo money. I'm gonna set all my money on fire. I'm gonna set my car on fire. I'm gonna go to the Alaskan bush and survive, not having any fucking prior knowledge of how to survive in the Alaskan bush. God, he makes me pissed off.
And he hitchhiked the entire way there.
He's stupid as fuck.
Did you enjoy our tangent on Christopher McCandless?
maybe if there's something spooky about his story that we no, it's just him being stupid. Okay. Yes. So we gotta get back to this. Holy shit. We're just talking about dumbass men today. Word.
Isn't that the topic of the episode?
True. Dumbass man thinks he's smart enough to kill about 200 people and get away with it forever. Because he's greedy motherfucker.
Yep. All he wants is the money.
From vulnerable young women to curious guests who unknowingly checked into their own graves, the horror of Holmes's crimes knew no bounds. We'll recount the stories of some of his most tragic victims and the chilling details surrounding their untimely deaths. I forgot to tell you guys that I have H. pylori, which has caused me to develop a stomach ulcer. So I randomly just be puking in my mouth. So if you hear those noises, no you don't. No you fucking don't. Alright.
Oh my god.
I'll try to cut them out if I make gross noises. I promise. No, I don't. I'm too lazy. Anyways.
Jesus.
Holmes's methods of murder were as diabolical as they were horrifying. He meticulously planned his crimes and used the layout of his hotel to his advantage, making it nearly impossible for anyone to escape once ensnared in his deadly web. Each victim has their own story, dreams, and hopes, but their lives were tragically intertwined with the darkness that consumed Holmes.
Look at you so out
fucking
here.
Dramatic. Yeah, I know.
Who are you?
Holmes varied in his victimology and MO. His victims were usually employees, lovers, and hotel guests. But they ranged from, elderly people to, children. So...
Plot twist. Holmes had an elderly lover. Dun dun dun.
Maybe.
She was the only one he didn't kill.
Really? Are you making shit up?
You're making shit up. I'm riffing.
Stop!
Okay?
I was like, what? Anyways, he has an elderly fetish. He's like, okay, Graham, you can get it, but you won't die. Love you.
But you will, of natural causes.
Oh. Damn.
She ain't fucking immortal.
Okay. Some of the victims were locked in soundproof rooms fitted with gas lines that let him asphyxiate them. He called them the gas chambers.
Oh
Others were taken to the quote-unquote secret hanging chamber where they would be hanged by Holmes. Others were locked in a soundproof bank vault and left to suffocate. Others were taken into another secret room that was sealed up by solid bricks and could only be entered through a trapdoor in the ceiling. These victims were locked there and left to die of starvation and dehydration. After their deaths, Holmes would take the bodies to a metal chute or a dummy elevator leading to the basement, where most of them were dissected, stripped of their flesh, crafted into skeletons, and sold to medical schools. Alternatively, Holmes would dispose of them in lime pits, incinerate the bodies, or use corrosive acid, poison, and even a stretching rack on the bodies, which I believe the stretching rack was disproved, but I threw it in there because I thought it was fun. According to Holmes, He once set an unnamed accomplice to kill a man named Milford Cole for him. Like, seriously. Dude hired a fucking hitman to kill someone. Bro thought he was a fucking government elitist or some shit. Like, I don't even know.
Did he just not have time?
That's what I'm saying. He planned this meticulous ass building, killed all these people in this specific way, and was like, nah, I don't have enough time for you, Milford Cole. I'm a hire hitman, age of 47.
He's like, Milford, I really want you dead, okay? But for some strange reason, you're refusing to come to my murder castle. So I'm maybe just gonna hire someone.
But why did he want to kill him? I don't know.
For money!
But you would assume it was like an employee or something.
Well, at one point, didn't he, like, claim to be, like, a lawyer or something? And, like...
Oh, Anyways.
I believe he got people to, like, sign over their, like, shit to him, and then he killed them.
Well, yeah, he basically just made people put him as his beneficiary. Because he would offer to pay the premium. So, like, they basically didn't have to pay anything, and they would get a life insurance policy. So they were like, paid. Sweet. And then, yeah, they pay with their lives. So
don't make a deal with the devil.
Don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious. Once the World Fair closed, the World's Fair, which was what was bringing in all of the people to the murder castle, Holmes fled Chicago after being arrested for insurance fraud as a result of his house catching on fire, which we see the murder castle does not exist anymore because it caught on fire. It's gone forever.
Yes.
He then joined up with Ben Pitzezel. I'm going to say it like that. He joined up with Ben Pitzezel, who agreed to fake his own death in order for them to collect on a $10,000 life insurance policy from the Fidelity Mutual Life Insurance Association of Philadelphia. The two committed a string of insurance fraud through Pennsylvania, Texas, Tennessee, Colorado, Missouri, and New York. In Missouri, Holmes was jailed for fraud and met Marion Hedgepeth, who agreed to join in on the scheme, but their plans unraveled when Holmes decided to kill Pitzezel in Pennsylvania. The whole Pitzezel family was killed during the fall of 1894. So instead of using a cadaver, as we've seen in previous frauds, Holmes decided to use Ben. Holmes knocked Ben out and killed him by setting him on fire. He lit him up like a fucking bonfire while he was still alive.
Poor Ben.
What in the fuck? After convincing Pitzezel's wife, who knew of the fraud, that he was still alive, Holmes killed their 3 children out of fear that they would learn of the scheme and report it to the authorities. So in 1894, once insurance investigators caught up with Hedgepeth's activities, so it wasn't even Holmes that he caught up with, it was the additional partner who came in. But Holmes was accused of it through Hedgepeth. His arrest was basically inevitable at that point.
Yep.
He had arrived in Boston and checked into a boarding house in the West End under the name H.M. Howell from Denver, Colorado. On the afternoon of November 17th, 1894, Holmes was arrested by Boston police officers and an agent from the Pinkerton Detective Agency.
Ooh, not Pinkerton Detective Agency.
In November 1895, Holmes was convicted in Philadelphia of murdering Ben Pitzezel. Before the conviction, Holmes confessed to the insurance fraud, and after the conviction, he confessed to committing over 130 murders.
Such a guy.
On July 15th, 1895, Alice and Nellie's bodies were found in a Toronto cellar. Later, authorities found teeth and pieces of bone among charred ruins that belonged to Howard in an Indianapolis cottage that Holmes had rented, which to me appears that he killed Ben's children at separate times in different places. So they were just, like, bringing the children with them and just randomly killing them. I don't know. But, further along the line, bodies of other people were either being found or were rumored to be found or rumored to be known what happened to them. Mm-hmm. And of those victims were Julia and her daughter Pearl Connor, who died in 1891, Emmeline Sigrand, who died in 1892, and sisters Minnie and Nanny Williams in 1893. Minnie had married Holmes, and he swindled her out of her entire inheritance. So he's really an outstanding guy. The bodies of Julia, Emmeline, and Minnie and Nanny were never found, but there were rumors that Holmes probably sold their cadavers to medical schools.
Or fucking burnt him in his incinerator.
Yeah, he really liked fire. I don't know why. He said in one point he was quoted saying that fire is very powerful and it makes him feel powerful. And so that's why he used it so much, because he thought of it as, like, I don't know.
The ultimate weapon.
Yeah, like a high power thing. But
I literally can't roll my eyes hard enough.
Regarding Julia and Emmeline's deaths, Holmes consistently stated that they died while undergoing illegal abortions, because Julia was allegedly Holmes's lover, and Emmeline was Holmes's former secretary, whom he later purportedly proposed to. And basically, Holmes had a horrible fucking pattern of taking advantage of single women, fucking them, and then killing them.
Yeah, he's a real upstanding citizen.
Yeah. While searching Holmes's hotel, the Murder Castle, authorities recovered Minnie's watch chain and Nanny's garter buckle in one of the ovens. Although forensic evidence was rudimentary at the time, bones found in the basement most likely belonged to 12-year-old Pearl Connor, whom he allegedly poisoned. As for Emmeline, the police believed they had come upon her hair and bones. One account claims that an eyewitness saw Holmes and his janitor haul out a big trunk the day after her disappearance. So yeah, at this point, he's arrested. He's admitted to the insurance fraud. He's admitted to these 9 murders. But for some reason, this whole time, he claims he's, like, right of mind, like, he's normal, stuff like that. But during his imprisonment, tell him he's gonna hang. Okay, no. During his imprisonment before his sentencing, these are some of the things he was quoted to have said. And honestly, yeah, okay, I did add this other one that I found that I was like, what the fuck? He said this: I am convinced that since my imprisonment, I have changed woefully and gruesomely from what I was formerly in feature and figure. My head and face are gradually assuming an elongated shape. I believe fully that I am growing to resemble the devil, that the similitude is almost completed. And he also said, my mental powers are perfectly clear. I have no delusions, and certainly no hallucinations. I am not deranged, but right as rain in regard to everything. My mind is as active today as it has ever been. Sir, you just said you're turning into the devil.
Yeah, I think the first one was literally him trying to sound as insane as he possibly could, just to fucking freak people out.
But honestly, this kind of just shows me that he's definitely not right in the mind. I don't know if, like...
What gave that away, Natalie?
I don't know if the imprisonment kind of caused him to finally reflect on all the shit he'd done, and his own delusions were like his subconscious punishing him for his wrongdoings. Because when I think of turning into the devil, I think of myself as something very bad. That's not good. Especially looking at his background, how religious his parents were. I could see that as, this is my punishment. I'm turning into the devil. But I don't know. It kind of makes me think of, like, when I'm manic and I do things I normally wouldn't. And then when I'm out of that manic state, I'm like, what? Something just snaps in me. And I'm like, holy shit, I did those things? Wow, they clearly weren't as awful as fucking H.H. Holmes murdering people. But it's like, what the fuck was I doing? So, I'm wondering if he was just completely, like, disillusioned about his life and completely blinded by his greed to understand morals, and that by finally getting caught, he kind of snapped out of it and realized, like, wow, maybe this shit is bad and I'm evil. And he probably dehumanized these poor corpses for so long that he didn't even see them as people who had existed and had people who loved them and cared for them. Because it's just crazy to me the lengths that he went to build that horrific castle, firing so many construction companies to create the elaborate rooms, hidden areas, just to confuse people and inflict pain and death. And then having basically a whole-ass morgue in his basement filled with barrels of acid holding dead bodies inside. And also, just a quick side note, I wonder if Jeffrey Dahmer took inspiration from H.H. Holmes because he was so prolific. Because they had similar ways of storing and disposing of bodies, like very similar, like identical. Although Jeffrey Dahmer...
it's funny to me that you brought up Dahmer. Because I was just gonna say, honestly, I feel like Holmes is exactly like Dahmer in the sense that he knew what he was doing was wrong.
But also taking advantage of marginalized people. Whereas Holmes took advantage of women, Jeffrey Dahmer took advantage of people of color. Because in both cases, they're marginalized at that time. I mean, still now with both women and people of color. But, like, in Jeffrey Dahmer's case, he was taking people who he knew police weren't going to look for. And nobody's going to look for those women either.
Yeah.
But also, Jeffrey Dahmer consumed the flesh of his victims, and H.H. Holmes was never really proven to, and never really stated that he did anything like that. But he was quoted to have said, "I love children. They're tasty." So, I don't know. It's low-key giving Albert Fish. I don't know.
I've always just drawn very similar conclusions to Dahmer and H.H. Holmes.
But also...
just because, like, they kind of had similar methodology, but... they didn't give a fiddler's fuck. Like, they were just like, yeah, no, I'm gonna keep doing it. Got away with it, respectively, for so long. Like, how many people reported Dahmer? Like, he's doing terrible things.
Both, like, turned themselves in, right? How did Dahmer get caught?
His supposed to be last victim.
Didn't he run away?
He ran away because he didn't drug him properly. So he escaped, and then the cops basically found him, did not believe him until he brought him to Dahmer's apartment. And then the police went in. This is the second or third time that they'd actually been to his apartment. Only this time they saw photographs that he had, like, scattered of his past victims. So that's the only reason.
Yeah, so he got himself caught because he's stupid.
I think they're very similar in the way that after they were caught, how they dealt with the consequences, right?
They were both incredibly calm individuals.
Calm. They were like, yeah, I did it.
Yeah.
You know, what do you want to know?
Exactly.
And then, like...
No remorse.
No remorse. They did both admit that what they were doing was wrong.
Yeah.
But they also just did not care. Yeah. They were like, this is how I am.
But also, Jeffrey Dahmer had a very different MO and reason why he was killing. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, it's also greed and lust. Not monetary greed, but he wanted to own these people. He wanted them to be a part of him. Like, he wanted to consume them so that they could never leave him.
I think they're two sides of the same coin.
Yeah. And that brings me back. Methodology. That brings me back to our first episode. I said, I wonder if H.H. Holmes was the very first person that they used for FBI profiling. And I actually looked it up. And it is true. I was right. Yay! He was the perfect serial killer. And so they compare everyone to basically him. So... And us saying Jeffrey Dahmer is very similar to H.H. Holmes, it makes sense. They fit the profile perfectly. Just before his execution, Holmes was said to be pleasant and calm. The only request he had was for his body to be buried 10 feet deep into the ground with his casket encased in cement. He didn't want grave robbers to dig his body up and use it for dissection, much like he had done to so many other poor, restless souls.
Hypocrite.
He's so fucking stupid. Holmes's last words were basically him just being a dick to the gallows man, saying, "Take your time, don't bungle it," as the official had exhibited, like, little haste and was, like, nervous, and he's like, "Oh, don't fuck it up!" But... Like, during the whole way...
I'm sorry, just can you imagine this executioner who is given this job to essentially murder America's first serial killer, and then that serial killer is mocking you as you're killing him?
It's fucked up. What's even more fucked up is how long it fucking takes him to die.
Great.
Basically, before he said that, the entire time, his last words were, like, point-blank denial of any crimes, except for the deaths of 2 women at his hands by malpractice, which could be the abortions women. I don't know, it didn't specifically say. Of the murder of several members of the Pietzel, I don't know, family.
We're so sorry.
He denied all complicity, particularly of the father, for whose death he stated he was unjustly suffering the penalty.
Sure.
And with the prayer of the spiritual attendants still sounding in his ears and a few low-spoken words to those about him, the trap was sprang. When Holmes finally hung from the gallows, it was said his neck did not snap. Instead, he died a slow death, his body twitching until he finally was pronounced dead 20 minutes later.
Good.
And so he died as he lived, unconcerned and thoughtless, apparently of the future, even with the recollection still vividly before him of the recent confession in which he admitted the killing of a score of persons of both sexes in different parts of the country, of multiple different ages. Bro did not care.
No, he really didn't. Which is why I'm like, I'm glad he hung there for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Slowly
and honestly,
suffocating.
I didn't even think about looking up hauntings or anything, just because I was like, there's no building. There's nothing to be haunted.
Wrong.
But... What?
Wrong.
But I found an article from 2021, October 30th, 2021.
Yeah.
From CBS Chicago, Channel 2 News, which talks about the building that was erected in the same spot as the murder castle, which is fucking funny because it's now post office.
Fun.
Many people say that the basement of the post office is very, very creepy.
Mm-hmm.
People have reported hearing sounds, seeing shadow figures. Some people think that some of the basement is the original basement from the murder castle. I don't know if that's true or not, but
I don't know if that's possible.
Why not? If the foundation's still good.
Yeah, but like, wouldn't you just completely want to start over?
Well, sometimes, okay, considering my aunt's house that had the murder at it, man was literally shot in her basement, house set on fire. They kept the basement, built a new house on top of it.
Nah,
so...
that basement's cursed.
But anyways, there's a portion of the basement of the current building that crosses over to a section that would have been underneath a grassy area to the east. And the section of the basement reportedly looks much older. And many people believe that it would have been part of the original basement. So I don't know, like, what side it would have been on. But I know most of his basement was dedicated to his, like, morgue activities.
Great.
So, let's see. Question of what became of the murder castle after Holmes left it behind. Most reports say after a police investigation was completed at the building, someone named A.M. Clark. Why is everyone first name, middle name,
it's
full
the
last
1800s.
Name? They wanted to turn it into a macabre museum. But many reports say that soon after, in 1895, sometime before Holmes was executed, the building burned to the ground. Which, apparently the second part's not true. The building was actually torn down in the 1930s.
Huh? Well.
So it was literally there for 40 years.
Yeah, no. Glad it's gone.
I don't know what it was being used for.
Just an eyesore, most likely.
But yeah, it was torn down in the 1930s to build a post office, and it's been a post office ever since.
They specifically tore it down to build the post office.
Yeah, that's what it says. That's literally what it says. They were sometimes. Like, we're getting rid of this magnificent, fucked up murder castle, and we're putting in a post office. UPS. USPS.
That's the most American thing.
That's the most fucking Chicago shit I've ever heard.
Where horrific things happened.
Historic building that could be turned into something very cool.
Post office.
Because there was a fire that damaged the building, but it was only the upper 2 floors, and they were rebuilt. So they rebuilt it, and then it sat there until the 30s.
Such a waste of resources.
So I actually found building plans of like somebody who recreated building plans of what they would assume it looks like. It's really interesting. Like, I want to see a 3D model of it and try to go in. I know that there's a video game being made. Something, I can't remember the name of it, but it's a VR game. And there's 2 different versions of the game that you can play. You could play one where H.H. Holmes is chasing you and you gotta escape and you gotta whatever, like the actual game. And then you can turn on like a peaceful mode where you can just explore the building. And it's a almost exact recreation of like what they could piece together from information. And it's actually really cool. I followed the game's page on Facebook because they have a Facebook page. Like, that's the only thing they have.
Interesting. Okay.
But it's really interesting. I don't know when it's coming out. I don't know if it's actually ever going to come out. But I would definitely play it on VR and just walk around his house. Like, through the mazes, through the morgue, through the hidden stairwells, and fucking gas chamber rooms, hanging rooms. Like,
do you think anyone's built it in The Sims?
Oh, 100% probably.
Do you think they've played it?
Probably. That's like so what 50% of people do in Sims. It's just torture Sims.
That's true.
But yeah, I don't know. That's all I have. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I had a lot of fun researching. I don't know when I'll do another research episode. But
she's like, never again.
It was fun. It was fun. Tell me what you think. I know it's very different from what I normally do, but I thought it was good.
Liked it.
But I also I don't have an outro.
Shocker.
So
follow us on social media. We are on Facebook and Instagram at Wading Into the Void. And, we got some fun stuffs up there. And you can expect a lot of fun stuff coming down the pipeline. Because, my friends, we're almost in September. Which means
we're almost in
October.
Which means it's Halloween. Which means it's also Thanksgiving. It's Halloween. It's Halloween, y'all. Fucking freak out. Fucking
Halloween. Halloween. The second annual Halloween. And this one is going to, by far,
be killer.
Ooh, I was going to say top last year's, but...
Oh, for sure gonna top last year's. But this year is gonna be killer.
Yeah. Don't want to give anything else away.
I can't. Yeah, we have literally 2 months.
So much time to sit and wait on this.
It's too fucking exciting, though. I want to show everyone, tell everyone, and be like that.
Yeah, but we can't. How about this? If you go on our Patreon by searching Wading Into the Void and you become a patron, we will give you hints as to what our Halloween theme is.
Yeah, you have 2 months. You can get at least 2 hints.
We will give you the smallest hint every week. Until then.
There we go. That's better.
There we go.
Well, you'll have to do a Sudoku puzzle in order to figure it out.
A fucking crossword.
That would be fun.
Every day you get a new letter.
That would take forever.
Yeah. That's fun, though.
No, maybe we could do... I don't know, release a picture to them of a crossword
little
puzzle.
Corners of each picture.
Yeah.
That would be fun.
That would be really fun. We could do that on our main Instagram, too. I don't know.
Go join our Patreon.
Oh, yeah. Go join our Patreon. We're not giving you that shit for free. I'm just kidding.
That requires effort on my part. Thank you.
Oh, God.
Yes, but we are on Patreon, as you probably guessed by now, because we only said it about 50 times in the last minute and a half. But we are also creators, and we have our own website with some awesome freaking merch that you can find at www.wadingintothevoid.com. So go shop it. Go check it out. I designed it my own self,
We have so many cool designs that you don't even have to listen to the podcast to enjoy.
That's true. You like morbid, you like macabre shit. It's you, Cryptids, you like aliens. Everything's on there. But yeah, we'll wrap it at that. And until next time, don't name your kid fucking Herman. That's good enough.
Don't be a douchebag. Bye. Bye.